Hello and welcome to this eedina.com discussion on Karnataka Assembly Elections 2023. Today's discussion is on the findings of a mega pre-poll survey conducted by eedina.com on how Karnataka is going to vote in the elections to be held on May 10th. Well, eedina.com is a digital media platform in Kannada, but this discussion is going to be in English for our English viewers and readers. We have with us two eminent political observers who will throw more light on the findings of the survey, Professor Yogendra Yadav, eminent psephologist, and Dr. A. Narayan, political analyst and professor at Azim Premji University, Bangalore. Professor Yadav has been in Karnataka for past few days, closely watching the political developments here, and with his vast experience in analyzing elections in India, he'll give his critical perspectives on the findings. And Dr. Narayan, known for his incisive views on Karnataka politics, is also a columnist in a leading Kannada daily. He has travelled extensively in Karnataka and has been a close observer of elections in Karnataka since 1994. Welcome to both of you, sir.
Thank you. You're taking me back to my Purva Janma.
Yes, sir.
Which I didn't want to get into. Honestly, the only reason I got attracted to this exercise, but we can discuss it later, is the public character of it. I think public opinion research is being privatized. Yes. It is being done for profit. And I've always believed that in a democracy, public opinion should be a public business. So informing public about its own opinion is a critical task. And that you are doing it in a public and transparent way. That's what attracted me.
So you mean to say that the way we conducted it through our citizen journalists?
That's right. That is what attracted me to it. Baki to election seat forecasting, I've given it up long ago.
So as Professor Yadav is saying, this survey was conducted by more than 1,000 volunteers who have joined not just because of this survey, but they are with us for a year almost with eedina.com, and we are calling them media volunteers or citizen journalists. Anyway, now coming straight to the findings of the survey, we'll get back to discussion with Professor Yadav and Dr. Narayan. But let us get into the findings of the survey first. The highlight is that there appears to be a Congress wave in the state with a double-digit lead over its nearest rival, the BJP. Before going to actual seats breakup, let us take a look at the vote share. The survey shows a decisive swing of more than 5% in favor of the Congress. The BJP is expected to lose more than 3% over its 2018 performance. The Congress this time will get 43% as against 38% it had in 2018. At the same time, the BJP is going to take 33% of vote as against 36% in 2018. The JDS is also going to see some erosion in its vote share by about 2%. JDS had taken 18% last time, and this time the survey puts it at 16%. So this is the vote share that is expected as per the survey. And if we can get into the seat projection based on these survey findings, we'll have a clearer picture. A Congress which had got 80 seats in 2018 is expected to get 132 to 140 seats. These are the projected seats for Assembly election 2023. And BJP, which had got 104 in spite of getting lesser vote share than Congress in 2018, this time it is expected to get 57 to 65 seats. And JDS, which had got 37 seats last time, is expected to get only 19 to 25 seats. Others who had got three seats last time is getting more or less the same, 1 to 5 in this election. So these are the findings of our survey. So this survey started on March 3rd and it took place till April 21st. So now let us get into the analysis of it, and let us start with Professor Narayan. So what do you think about this survey, these findings of the survey?
Thank you, Dr. Vasu. Before I give my initial observations, let me also join Professor Yadav in congratulating eedina.com for conducting this massive survey. I have also studied the history of media organizations in Karnataka, not just politics. And I don't think any media organization in its very first year of existence has taken up a project of this kind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so therefore, congratulations on that. Now, coming to my two initial quick observations. One, I would say that the findings of Eedina survey is consistent with the findings of other surveys too. There are quite a few other surveys which also have kind of forecast this kind of a result. But there is a difference, and that difference to my mind is my second observation and is significant. You are projecting both vote share and the seats share for the Congress, which surpasses its previous best in 1999, in the last 30 years, right? So this is not consistent with the electoral trend or the political trend in Karnataka. So what we see in the last 30 years has been a trend in which the party which wins the election gets around the number in the region of 110 to 115, right? The only exception was in 2013 when Congress got 120. Even that was not a big gap from the simple majority mark.
So the biggest gap was in 1989 when Yogendra Patil
yeah, that's right. That's right. So if you take the last 30-year period, then you see in Karnataka that the winning party barely manages to get a simple majority. Now here, this survey projects a seat share which is at least I am a little uncomfortable with that number. So I think before we get into the discussion on the findings, I would be happy in case we can discuss a little bit about how we arrived at these numbers.
That's the important point. You know, look, I've been in this game for 20 years. I was so for
probably
20
more than
years.
that.
Well, for 20 years of my life, 25 years or so, I just did this. So here are some wisdom from those 25 years. Number one, surveys surprise. The job of a survey is to surprise you. If you do a survey and it does not surprise you, you are wasting your money. One. Second, no one in this country believes that surveys say what the data says. Everyone thinks it is your political opinion. Yes. Okay. In this country,
and
everyone...
they attribute it to the people who have done these surveys.
Everyone suspects motives in this country, especially of surveys. I remember in 2002, after the Gujarat massacre, we had done a survey which showed Modi was winning big way, 2/3 majority. We published it in the front line. Everyone called me, Yogen, tum bhi aise ho gaye ho. Even you have joined the... I said, Baba, I have not joined anyone. I'm just saying that this is what the public is doing. So the second lesson is no one in this country ever believes that you are saying what the data says. They wait till the election day. So be prepared for a lot of gali in the coming days. That's the second thing. And the third is a survey is always initially judged by political wisdom. You know, so political pundits like him, you know, said, and they say, well, it doesn't make sense. Now, the good thing it is that in the long run, surveys have generally proven to be more correct than political pundits. There's a beautiful article, but I'll not get into the research part of it, on the relationship between political pundits and psephology, and why pundits get it wrong. But the simple point I was saying was not that he's wrong.
But you are both political pundit and
no, I'm not given my number anyway.
I was only saying one point. We should not judge a survey finding by prevailing political opinion, because prevailing political opinion is usually wrong. I've seen it in some 4 dozen times in my life, maybe more than that. Prevailing political opinion is a consensus, thoda sa, not too much, etc. Electorate doesn't go by this. So relax, be prepared for a lot of brickbats in the days to come, and perhaps a smile on the 13th, if you are lucky. But the point he made, I think that's more important, which is that, you know, I do not begin to look at a survey by looking at its seat forecast. Honestly, when I read surveys, most of the time I actually do not even read their seat forecast. I first look at the methodology section. If that meets my approval, then I look at everything, otherwise I put it in the dustbin, which I do to 9 out of 10. I just put them in the dustbin. Not worth my time, you know, wasting it on. So I think the important thing, Dr. Vasu, is to share with the viewers your methodology. how many, because a survey is only as good as its methodology. What are we doing in survey? Three of us are talking.
Yes.
In a survey, you have spoken to 40,000 people.
Yes.
So
to be
who are
precise,
these
41,169 people.
Yeah, okay. So who are these? So 41,000, that's a very good number. But honestly,
Such a big number is not necessary.
Actually, it's not necessary. Even if you did 4,000, I would take you about as seriously. My real question is, because this 41,000 it will make your viewers very happy. Oh, very big sample. Politicians feel very happy.
So in between also, when I had called you, you said that it is not that necessary, but we had big number of volunteers. We had told them earlier that during this election, we'll ask you to do this
There's
survey.
no harm in doing big numbers, because the bigger the number, the more disaggregate details you can get. So it's good. But in order to get the big picture of Karnataka, if you did only 4,000, I would have been happy. The important question is, how do you select those 4,000 and what is their profile? So that is what you need to share with them.
Then I'll just tell you how we did that. So the sample size was, finally it turned out to be 41,169.
How many constituencies did you go to out of 224?
204.
So you practically went to every constituency.
Actually, we wanted to go to every constituency, but still many constituencies, the sample size was not that critical. It was very small. Yeah. So we are saying it was done only in 204 constituencies.
80% of the constituencies.
And the 20
More
that
than
you,
that probably, yeah.
the
90.
20 which you did not do are not very special,
very special, yes.
or very different from the rest of the state.
No, we checked it after the survey that we looked at the trends in this election and compared it with 2018. It was not special.
That looks like. Normally, when we used to do it in CSTS, we would pick up about 30-40 constituencies out of 224. Honestly, again, to get an overall picture of the state, all you need is about 48. Karnataka is a very diverse state internally, so I would probably say, let's take 45 constituencies. Even that would have been enough. This is much above what is required.
Yes. And we selected the respondents using the scientific random sampling method. So all the booths were selected using that scientific random sampling. And within booths also, we selected the voters, the respondents, using the same method, scientific random sampling. We did not, earlier, before actually getting into the details of how we will have to do it, we did not know this. So after speaking to the experts in the field, so we did it in this method. And it was a face-to-face survey. The respondents were interviewed in their respective houses. It was not in the street or not using telephone. Yeah. So this was the method that we used.
These are three important things, because you are a social scientist, you would see that. First is selection of sampling area. In most surveys, people select a few constituencies. You don't have that problem. You were going for all of them. Within a constituency, you are selecting some polling booths. How many did you go?
In each
so suppose there's one constituency.
16 in
16.
each. Yes.
And you are saying you selected those 16 through random sampling, which is to say you did not decide I should go in this area, that area. You actually picked up a random number table and then you go.
Yes, it was like a computer picked it up for us. It was like that.
So it's completely random in that sense, which is absolutely the perfect.
So that the entire constituency is covered and all the communities are selected. But
just one caution, for in our Indian English and in everyday English, the word random is seen to be very negative. Bada random kaam kar rahe hain. But in statistics, random is the gold standard. When you say I've done it randomly, which means it's absolutely the best way that you can possibly do. So you've done it randomly. And more importantly, because I think that is again something which many polling agencies are doing. But you are saying you have selected even the respondents within a booth. So you reach a village, which has been randomly picked up. You did not pick it up. You send your person, go to booth number 57. That's a village. Yes. Once they reach booth number 57, how do they, so you are saying you selected the voters or the persons you want to interview, again randomly?
Randomly, yes. So again randomly, and
exactly how you picked up
we wanted to interview 25 people in 25 voters in a constituency. So again it was a random sampling. So every 32nd voter, or sometimes every 24th voter, it was like that. And sometimes if that respondent is not there at home, either they will skip it but only in cities where it is difficult to get people to answer, there they substituted with the same gender and same age group person in the next house.
Okay, so technically what you are doing is you have done a strictly random selection based on electoral rolls within the polling booth. Yes. That is very unusual because most polling agencies don't do that, and that's my regret. When we used to be in CSDS, and I'm sure CSDS does it even today, that is what they, otherwise, you know, what they say is, us gaon mein jao and interview 10 people. Who would I interview? I would go to the sarpanch, I would go to the most powerful fellow, I'll go to someone who drags me, gives me a cup of tea.
Yeah.
I'll speak to them, I'll not end up speaking to any woman. So this method ensures that you actually speak. So if there are Dalits living in some little corner of the village, random sampling will take you there.
No, I was surprised because after the survey, I mean, we asked them what is their caste background, everything. And finally, we analyzed what is the percentage of Dalits, OBCs, Kurubas, Vakkaligas, Lingaites that we have met. We did not select them based on caste, but it was selected using this random sampling method.
Why don't you share that thing?
Yes.
Because
so
that is the test.
Yes,
test of, as they say, what is the Angrezi thing of taste of the pudding is in eating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pudding ki bajay kheer bole, you know, it sounds better anyway. But so let's have the taste. Let's see what the figures.
After the final survey, so these were the percentages of the people who were interviewed by our enumerators. So if you start with Vakkaliga, so our enumerators met 10.9% of Vakkaligas. And the upper caste, Brahmins, the Vaishyas, Jains and Modaliyas, those who come in EWS category now, 4.6%. Lingaites, 17%. Kuruba, 10.1%. Ediga, 2.5%. Other OBCs, 8.1%. SC right, left,
all of them put together,
all of them put together 17%, and that actually very much correlates with the state average. And ST 8.5%. Muslims a little less than the state average, which is about 10%. Christians 1.2%, and Marathas they are there in certain pockets 2%, and others 5.7%. So, and of course, there was some percentage who refused to answer, tell their caste. So, this was the overall percentage.
So the methodology, according to you, is robust, and that we can...
That's what attracts me. Otherwise, normally, as I said, I don't get into this stuff. The methodology that you're following is, as I said, a survey is only as good as its methodology, sampling. And the sample is represented. You know, so you followed a rigorous methodology. And the proof of that is that the figures you get.
And there were 55% men and 45%
45% women, yeah. So once again, most surveys when they do it these days, only 20% women they do, 80% men, and then they inflate that 20 into 50. I don't like that sort of
the state
stuff.
average is probably 52 and 48.
Yeah, so it's pretty close
some
to that.
women are not there, or they
You would
refuse
get
to answer.
a little more refusals among women, etc.
Yes.
So that's okay. So this is what makes it robust. You know, ideally you would have wanted absolute match, but that never happens.
Yes.
And the other thing that you mentioned very quickly, but I think we should underline that, is face-to-face interview.
Yes.
These days, when these television channels carry out a survey, we've done 50,000, this 1,000, what they do is they simply get telephone operators who start calling the numbers. And anyone who picks up the number, they ask questions. And these days, they don't even ask. There's an IVR, which says press 1 if you want to vote BJP, press 2.
And it's a long conversation, and probably after 3 or 4 questions, the person
People
drops
get
out.
tired. And in our country, people are not used to telephonic surveys. So the important thing is, in that sense, I'm very old-fashioned. You know, technology is fine for transmission of data, etc. But in the last instance, sitting in front of a human being and speaking to them. In telephonic survey, how would you interview an 80-year-old illiterate woman sitting in a village who has never heard who the Prime Minister of this country is? Yes. How do you speak to them? So this is why face-to-face survey. I'm very happy that you've chosen face-to-face survey, and that's what gives some credence to the whole exercise. That's why I would take something like this a little more seriously than the stuff that goes around these days.
So therefore, what we are going to see is a major turn in political trends in Karnataka, in the sense from a stage where no party would get a clear majority to a stage where Congress is going to get a very, very clear majority. That is point number one. Second, so the previous best that we have is 1999, when Congress got 132 seats. Now that was a time when Congress had a leader in S.M. Krishna leading the campaign. And then Congress, both at the state level and at the national level, was much stronger at that point in time. And BJP at that point in time was still coming up. It was not as strong as it is today. So this is what makes it a little, still doubtful in the minds of people, at least in the people who have been observing Karnataka politics, during this period.
That is what makes it surprising. Yeah. We may not have all the answers to everything. The only caution I would exercise is that I would not say this is going to happen. Okay. As of today, this is what trends seem to be like.
We not still even as of today, it was the survey was done between March 3rd and April 21st.
That's another limitation to underline, that most of the interviews were conducted before the nominations were done. In fact, many of them before tickets were announced.
Yes.
Things can change after that. No survey in the world can tell you what will happen 20 days later. Yes. This is how it looks as of today. But yes, it is surprising. And for you are a historian, you are a historian in that sense that you read political history very carefully. So yes, it's surprising. The trouble is that electorate don't look at history. They do what they do, and then historians keep writing history thereafter. And what I would say is that yes, because it's surprising. The first question was about methodology. The second question I would ask is, okay, apart from voting, you must have asked other questions.
Yes.
What do other questions say, and are they in line with this? Do they support this?
That's right. What explains the surprise?
Or otherwise, suddenly people give some answer on voting, everything else is flowing in the other direction. So what is it that we know about that?
Yes, the first question that was asked, apart from the demographic details or the personal details of the respondent, was whether this government led by Basuraj Bommai deserves a second chance. So that was the question, and among those who had an opinion of yes or no, 67% of people had told that this government does not deserve a second chance. And out of them, there were BJP supporters also who felt that this government does not deserve a chance. And 33% of them said this government can be given a second chance. So this was the actually the first marker which told us that there is a very strong anti-incumbency wave.
Over the years, I've found this question to be very good. People somehow ask questions, are you satisfied with the performance of government? In India, no one understands satisfaction, and they theek hai. But we, over the years, then devised and thought this question was critical. Does it deserve another chance or not? So if it's 2/3 versus 1/3, that already is a clear indication of anti-incumbency against the government.
Yes.
Do remember that Karnataka is kind of a three-way race. So two parties are in any case inclined against the government. Yes. So in that sense, if it was 50%, I would not be surprised. But if it is 67%, that's serious stuff. Yes. So we have indications of anti-incumbency. Do we know the reasons for that anti-incumbency?
Yes. Sir, before that, can I just intervene? So, this question is interesting. At the same time, there are two layers in this question. One is, would you want to give a second chance to Basuraj Bommai government? Which is different from asking whether you would like to re-elect the BJP. And that is possibly why BJP has consistently stayed away from projecting Bommai as the face of the campaign. Now,
they also do surveys. They have a sense of what's happening.
Okay. 3 days back, a senior BJP leader, a central minister, said that, he is the incumbent chief minister. So that's why we don't focus any other chief ministerial candidate. Probably he meant that we are not focusing him either.
Yeah. And it is very unusual of BJP, right? So BJP generally, projects a face, whether they are in government or whether they are in the opposition, right? This is slightly different, maybe.
The BJP is in the process of a major transition in Karnataka. Okay. They want to get rid of their old leadership. They want to bring a new set of leadership. And in essence, Basuraj Bommai is a kind of a halfway house, a placeholder in a sense. कि ठीक है अभी तो मतलब hold the place till we bring the right person, and that's why they're probably not. But it's a good point. If your question was, do you want to give BJP government another chance, you may have got different answer possible.
So then, yeah, as you said, coming to the issues that people were concerned with, there were 7 or 8 answers that were already there, and we asked people, we'll read out these questions and we'll read out these issues, and which one of them, according to you, is the one which bothers you most when you vote. So the first, since we asked this question twice to them, because people may have more than one issue in their mind. So in the first place, it was the price raise. But the second time when it was, on the second place, it was corruption. Third one was unemployment. But the same question was asked to them again, and most of the people who earlier had told price rise, their second priority was against corruption. Put together, corruption, 68% of the people said that corruption is the issue that bothers them most. And as you know that corruption is in discussion for the past 4 years, totally in this BJP regime, and more so after Bommai came to power. And second one was price raise, 47%, unemployment 34%, women's safety, drinking water and electricity, health and education, crime, violence and atrocities, followed by these 3 things. So this again points out to the fact that Bommai is seen as the most corrupt chief minister.
That was my question. So people are worried about corruption. One would infer that that is because of this 40% Sarkara business.
Yes, and
but is there something in the survey that actually connects it directly?
Yes, exactly.
Because from this alone we cannot infer.
Yes. Because they may see Congress or JDS as the most corrupt party. So this question was also asked that in the last 4 governments, government led by Bommai, government led by Yediyurappa, government led by Kumaraswamy, and government led by Siddaramaiah,
it was most corrupt.
Which is the most corrupt. So 33% of them said it is Basavaraj Bommai who is the most corrupt chief minister, and followed by Yediyurappa.
Oh, the first 2 spots went to BJP.
Yes, first 2 spots went to BJP, and the third one was Siddaramaiah, and fourth one was Kumaraswamy. So these were the numbers also.
And so that links it up, which is to say we could probably infer that corruption is an issue because people associate the sitting government, the incumbent government, with corruption.
There was another question also related to it. So that question was not, that was an open-ended question. We did not name anybody. We just asked the people, who is the most incompetent chief minister according to you in the history of Karnataka? So overwhelmingly people said, it's about 45% of people named Basavaraj Bommai, that he is the most incompetent chief minister in the history of Karnataka. Of course, all of them won't know the history of Karnataka, and the recent one will be named most. But that again shows that they are not happy with the...
Yeah, so now we'll come to that efficiency question later possibly, but corruption as an election issue is figuring so prominently for the first time in Karnataka. Okay. So 2 most corrupt regimes that we had, at least in public perception, one was the Janata Party regime between 1983 and 88. Right? They had several scams, Hegde had to resign, and then finally there was presidential rule, etc., etc. And then the first BJP government between 2008 and 2013, where Yediyurappa went to jail. So these were the 2 governments when, when these governments sought a second chance, corruption figured prominently in election campaigning. However, there was another reason why possibly these 2 governments were voted out. That was because the ruling parties then, Janata Party in 1989 and BJP in 2013, they had serious problems within the party organization. Janata Party almost did not exist, it was split, right? So Similarly, in
BJP was also split.
BJP was also in 2013. Yeah, Yediyurappa went out, and Sriramulu had his own party. Yediyurappa had his own party, and what remained as BJP was a very small segment of what it used to be. So we didn't have a chance to test whether Karnataka electorate really care for corruption in an election, and this is the first time that is going to be tested.
It's number one issue. Although no election is entirely one issue election. So, when people talk about price rise is an issue.
Okay.
Unemployment may not show up in data. When people talk about unemployment and price rise, they are not talking of what the economists call inflation. Inflation can be low or moderate. When people say price rise is an issue, they are saying, I cannot afford to buy things that I need to have. Mm-hmm. This is actually a euphemism for poverty. And unemployment is not again about technically unemployment, which is probably low in Karnataka, has been low for quite many years. But they are talking of not getting the kind of job they think they deserve and need. So economy continues to be an issue, but you're right. Corruption has suddenly, it's very unusual for corruption to become such a major issue in one.
And price rise seems to be a constant in most Indian elections, right?
Yeah. Price rise, this is what surprises people. When inflation is 2.2%, ask people what's the problem, they would say price rise.
Exactly,
And they're not, people used to laugh at it.
They must be feeling it, yeah.
Because basically what they're saying is, I don't have enough money in my pocket. So they say mehengai, which is different from inflation anyway.
What is the second, after this, corruption and...
corruption and price rise, the unemployment thing. The efficiency thing, we asked the open-ended question that who is the most inefficient chief minister. Basuraj Bommai was named.
Quite a damning thing for any chief minister to get corrupt and inefficient, yeah.
Yes. But there are other things also to it, that when we have these numbers now finally, that who has voted, who is inclined to vote for whom, then is there a pattern there also in terms of caste and class?
I wanted to check about the anti-incumbency against MLAs, because that works sometimes. State level anti-incumbency is one thing, MLA level anti-incumbency is another. So what's the pattern there?
And when we say MLA level, it can be across parties, right? It can
It
can be across parties.
So the interesting thing is not just the general thing. Yeah. I want to know what is the anti-incumbency against Congress MLAs, anti-incumbency against BJP MLAs and Janata Dal MLAs, because that matters.
Yeah. Has the survey gone into that?
Yes, question? The survey also checked with all the MLAs, and but the interesting fact is that the anti-incumbency against the MLAs is little less than the state government. Okay. The state leadership actually has more anti-incumbency. Basuraj Bommai has that anti-incumbency. And here, 32% of the electorate or respondents said they don't have an opinion. And 33% people said one more chance can be given to their MLA. And 35% people said no. That's
an overall thing.
Yeah, that's overall
but
thing.
But specifically, now forget those who said don't know, because don't know is some way of escaping it. If we focus only on those who are giving an opinion, do you see a difference between Congress MLA and the BJP MLAs?
Yes. BJP MLAs, people said 42% of the people said yes to them. 58% of people said
they should not
be given a second chance. In the Congress issue, it is reverse. 58% people said the chance can be given to them one more, and 42% people said no. For JDS, it is almost 50-50. 49% yes and 51% no.
That's another good indicator. It need not be that the quality of MLAs of Congress is better than the quality of MLAs of BJP. This is also an indirect way of indicating the direction in which people are flowing. Yeah. If they are willing to give Congress MLAs a little more chance, it is possible that they want to give Congress a chance. That could be the case.
And there is another thing also here. BJP wanted to change its MLAs, change its candidates. It said almost 52 of them are new faces. But the issue is that the problem is not with the local leaders, or not as much with the local leaders than it is with the CM candidate. So the CM candidate is not changed. So it's almost, they have not declared anybody, but they are going with the same leadership. So that's the mistake probably BJP has done.
Just to add to that about the issue, you spoke about the issues. Usually we also ask about some of the government schemes. Are they doing well? And other things. You had some information on that.
Yes, because that connects to the efficiency question.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is there, and here there's another very interesting result. In fact, this probably both myself and Narayan had also discussed here once, that which is that single thing that strikes to people's mind when we are asking them that what is the special thing that you see in Bommai's government. The same question was asked with the electorate, that which is that single scheme of the state government you are happy with, that, or you got that benefit. They said, do you know the number of people who said, named any scheme? 0%. Or if you want the exact number, out of this 41,000 plus, it was 12 people.
12 people could name a government scheme.
Of the state government.
Of the state. Central government they could name.
Yes, many of them said, 18% of them actually named central government schemes. Not all of them Modi government schemes. But there are some schemes like Ujjwala Gas and PM Kisan Samman, these things. But of the state government, none. Or 8 people,
But do you know of any state government schemes? Forget the respondent. I kept asking some friends, what are the, flagship schemes of the state government? Even my journalist friends could not name that. So that's a serious thing of not having a brand, not being able to brand something and be able to associate positively with some scheme. Yeah.
But there's an interesting thing here that even the Congress guarantees, they've also not attracted people so much.
But Congress guarantee has come in the last 2-3 months, but when we are talking about the government, we are talking about the last 4 years or 5, right? 4 years. So
that is true, but during elections, people also watch, what political parties are saying.
BJP is traditionally very good at, publicizing its schemes. Yes. So despite that, if people don't know, then there is something there, yeah.
So here, 33% of the electorate, they said they have not heard of Congress guarantee schemes. Okay. So it's almost 1/3 of them. They said they've not heard.
Yeah, and a promise of a party and what the government has already offered should be treated separately, I think, in this analysis.
No, but you see, I don't know when the survey started. Were all the 4 announced already?
No, but
four
these
guarantees
two, Grihalaxmi and Gruha Jyoti, were announced.
They were announced.
Yeah, 3 of them were announced. Annabhagya was announced, 10 kg rice, and Gruha Jyoti, that is 200 units free electricity, and Grihalaxmi, 2,000 rupees to the woman head of the family.
1/3 had not heard.
Yes.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of work for Congress to do there.
Yes,
there.
And the other 1/3 said, we know and we believe that Congress will deliver this. And another 1/3 said, we know about this scheme, but we don't think that Congress will implement it. Okay.
Skepticism. People are smart these days.
So this wave that we identified earlier is not necessarily a wave generated by the promise of the Congress, but the sentiment against the incumbent government.
I think that's a very fair point. So promises had just been announced, had not reached people. So it's more an anti-incumbency. It's an anger against the incompetence. And somehow anti-incumbency these days has become a word which seems to be an explanation by itself. But it's incompetence and corruption. Perceived incompetence and corruption of the government, which seems to be driving it. Yeah. So the vote figures that you get are consistent with this. We need to also think of internal consistency, which is, and that's something which in any case attracts everyone. What is the social pattern of voting? Who is voting? So this vote, 38%, from 38 to 43% for Congress. Where is this vote coming from? Who are these people?
Who are the people who are going to vote for various
and this
parties?
whole
So
thing
shall we start
of,
with the caste analysis?
Yeah.
First, yes. It's very clear that what is...
We say, why begin with caste? Why not age? Why not gender? People
There's
forget.
not much difference in it, except that women voters are relatively more undecided. So there's not much difference between the age group and.
So you looked at it and you thought, you saw that there is actually not much difference there. Now I'm just saying, because somehow the tendency for everyone is to believe that caste is going to do it. And over the years I've said, look, caste is one important variable, but there are other things as well. And let's look at everything and then see whether caste really matters. If it does, fine. Yeah, does it matter?
Yeah, it matters, but there also people generally think that this party is Lingayat party, this party is Muslims party, which is not so. None of the communities are completely with any political party. That is not there. And if you get into the data, it also says that even some castes which are identified, which were identified in the previous elections, though we don't have data, there is a break in that. For example, Lingayats. So upper caste we mean Brahmins, Vaishyas and those others who are in EWS, 25% votes people say they're voting for Congress, 58 for BJP and 11 for JDS. And Lingayats, 28 Congress.
Can I just make one remark about the upper caste?
Yes.
You know, people talk about vote banks. And somehow everyone talks about vote banks of Dalit Muslims and this thing. People forget that one of the biggest vote banks in this country is upper caste. I mean, Karnataka, it's a tiny fraction. But in North India, etc., one of the most solid vote banks of BJP is absolutely upper caste vote bank. But somehow, in our mental image, upper caste is not vote bank. Everyone else is a vote bank.
And when we say upper caste in North Indian context, what will be the caste?
That would mean Brahmins, Rajputs, Vaishya, and many other ex-Shudra communities which do not today get reservation advantage.
Oh, okay.
So that can, and at all India level, that's about 20%. But in Karnataka, it's less than 10%. Yeah.
So Lingayats, 28% people say they will vote for Congress, BJP 53, JDS 12. And Marathas?
Would you say that's less than usual? 53%, yeah?
Yes, 53 to BJP.
For BJP.
Yes.
We do not know whether, because we don't have comparable figures from the last elections. But what surprises me is that if 53% of Lingayats are still with the BJP, what would explain the erosion of votes for the BJP?
No, but
well, maybe it's erosion from 65% to 53%, you know, because it could well be, because when people say vote bank, it normally means 65-70%.
And most of the survey in North Karnataka or most of the Karnataka was conducted much before this Lakshman Chaudhary and Jagdish Shettar episode.
So in North India, when they say, for example, that Yadavs are Samajwadi Party vote bank, it means about 70-75% Yadavs vote for Samajwadi Party. It's not 100%, it's 70-75. So if that was the case with BJP, more than, I think BJP used to get 60% or above of the Lingayat votes. So down to 53.
53, yes. And Marathas, 34% Congress, 49% BJP and 8% JDS. Idiga, Billava, or Divuru, these are the different names to the same caste.
Prominent OBC.
Prominent OBC, 33% to Congress, 37% to BJP and 22% to JDS. Actually, I'm naming these four caste categories together because these are the castes which are voting BJP more than any other party. So only these four. But Congress, there's a very clear-cut inference that can be drawn that Ahinda votes are still with Congress and probably much more than the other castes that are with BJP. So Kuruba, 51% Congress, 26% BJP and 15% JDS. Here again, people think that all Kurubas vote for Congress, which is not so. And other OBCs, other than Kuruba and Idiga and Maratha, 39% Congress, 34% BJP and 17% JDS. And SC left and right. SC right, 55% vote for Congress, 22% vote for BJP and 15% for JDS. And SC left, 52% vote for Congress and 27% vote for BJP and 15% for JDS.
So the difference was not as sharp as it has been, because I've been hearing this about SC left, SC right, and many people claimed SC left no longer votes for Congress and things of that sort. But this completely demystifies it.
Yes, 55 right community and 52 left community vote for
Which
Congress.
is to say,
still.
both the major left community, both the major scheduled caste communities are solidly with the Congress, with a very slight difference in shade.
Yes.
55, 52. That's even a survey error. I mean, we can't.
But has it happened, or did we conduct the survey before this internal reservation for SC left was
Just
announced?
after that, just after that.
So it would not have percolated to the people's level for them to make an opinion about
We
the
do
Congress
not know. We
or
do
the
not
BJP?
know.
Yeah.
But I personally do not think that there's such a major shift of SC
Even
left.
after it has
Even
reached the
after,
people,
yes.
it will not. Why do you say so?
No, basically you can see the trend
Because
with
that was one of the major-
other oppressed communities, and also that more poor are voting for Congress. We can come to that later.
No, we are talking only of SC left here, left hand here.
Correct.
Yeah, because they were demanding this internal reservation, and BJP government did announce it.
No, my point there is that it is not just caste, but there are other things also. That not that subcaste thing, but the Dalit as a whole and poor are voting more and more in favor of Congress. But in that, relatively, if you compare it to the right, of course, there is little less of left community voting for Congress. And other SC communities, 49% are voting for Congress, 29% for BJP, and 12% for JDS. And Muslims, ST, 51% voting for Congress, 31% for BJP, and 12% for JDS. And Muslim, 73% voting for Congress, 10% voting for BJP, and 10% for JDS. So sometimes, 73, 10 and 10 make 93. So people may ask what happens to other 7%. 7% is for others also. Because in this entire percentage, we are comparing it only with these three major parties.
This would surprise people because, again, 10% Muslims voting for BJP. This is relatively high. I normally see about 4 to 5% in other states. So something like 10 is high, but it's not surprising given Karnataka's history and so on. And once again, you see, this is the advantage of doing survey research, that it actually gives you a fuller picture with all the cracks and all the little strange corners and so on. But 10% for BJP among Muslims and 10% for Janata Dal would be quite disappointed looking at that because they have put up many Muslim candidates. They have tried to put up and have claimed
probably more
Muslim
than
support.
10.
Muslim support, but so we need to see whether the candidature changes the situation or so on. But these are significant trends. Yes. Just as in the case of scheduled tribe, Karnataka seems to be one of the few states now where Congress still has more scheduled tribe support than other parties.
Here, I think scheduled tribe, 51% Congress, 31% BJP. So So that also goes against the popular perception that STs are with the BJP now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other surprising thing is that Christians, 24% of them vote for BJP, and 56% vote for Congress, and 10% for JDS.
I've seen many other surveys, and this is not inconsistent with what other surveys are saying. So if you look at the overall picture of caste and vote, the pattern is a stable pattern. The levels are slightly different than others. But looking at this pattern gives me confidence that we are looking at something real, something substantive. And this is what, when I look at these tables in any survey, it's almost like doing X-ray. Because you're a medical doctor, so when you look at the X-ray, you suddenly begin to see patterns. So looking at this is like looking at an X-ray. It gives you a sense of what's happening. It would have been lovely, as you said, if we had a picture exactly from 5 years
Yes, there's no comparable figure.
We can.
If
you look at the Lokniti CSDS surveys, you probably might find something there because they've been consistently publishing it to see where the changes are taking place. But I suspect...
But is there a study of how SC left or SC right is...
That probably they may not have. But I think what in popular imagination, people say at this time Lingayats have deserted BJP. That actually doesn't happen.
That's right.
When change takes place, it changes across communities.
Yeah, so the broad patterns, I think, remain the same. More upper caste.
We'll finish the Okaliga thing also, because all these communities I mentioned after BJP voted more for are inclined to vote more for Congress. And Okaligas, there's definite inclination towards JDS, but the difference between Congress and JDS is not so much. So JDS 38%, Congress 31%, and BJP 24% Okaligas vote for BJP.
So BJP is gaining something among Vokalikas. I would imagine earlier it used to be somewhat lower for the BJP among Vokalikas.
Correct.
So BJP's real thrust into Old Mysuru region,
which may not get converted to seats, but still its vote share amongst Okaligas probably.
Yeah, we cannot say much without the comparable figures of 2018, but you may be right, yeah. But what is interesting here is overall, the pattern remains the same. More upper caste, more Lingayats still voting for the BJP. However, maybe, that more may be less than 2018. So that is the thing.
And there's another interesting thing, that is about the class, their economic status, and how do they vote. So this is also quite glaring. And here you can see a definite trend. For example, upper class, rich people, only 29% of them vote for Congress, middle class 37%, and lower class 39%, poor 46%, and the poorest vote, 48% of them vote for Congress.
So as you go down the economic ladder, Congress vote increase. So it's a pyramid.
And BJP vote?
It will be the reverse pyramid.
Reverse pyramid.
Correspondingly.
Yes, rich vote, 41% rich vote for BJP, and 38% of middle class vote for BJP, and among the lower middle class 36%, and poor 32%, and the poorest 28%. So it is clear. So BJP is the party of the rich, and Congress is party of the poor. And JDS, it remains more or less same. Rich 20%, middle class 18%, lower middle class 18%, poor 15%, and the poorest is 15% again.
It's an important insight that we should not lose. Because in political analysis these days, everyone talks of caste all the time. And when I was a student in 1980s and I studied with Marxist teachers, they spoke of class all the time. And sometimes I now want, and most of them have now started talking about caste. So I'm actually writing an article right now to persuade my leftist friends to take class more seriously. This is straight.
That is there. Actually,
this is a textbook. The figures that you've read out actually should go in a textbook. This is a textbook illustration of class vote.
So we also have the numbers that poor Brahmins vote for BJP, Congress, and rich Dalits vote for BJP. And rich Muslims also vote for BJP.
So what are the basis on which these poor and rich categories have been identified? Were they asked to identify themselves, or you had some other criteria based on?
It was both, but we had different types of questions. For example, the major earning member of the family. So what is his or her occupation, and their assets, and roughly their monthly salary. And these were asked, and based on that, we have actually made these categories.
That's a very robust way of
And then the number of acres.
I'm very glad that you actually asked questions about economy, because I asked a couple of other surveys. So what is the class picture? They said, but we didn't ask this question, sir. We've stopped asking this question. And once you actually ask it, you realize how strong is it. And the point that you mentioned in passing, which is among the Brahmins, the poorer Brahmins tend to vote Congress a little more. Among the Lingayats, the poorer Lingayats vote the Congress more. Among the Dalits, the richer Dalits vote the BJP a little more. So there is a class angle within every single caste.
Yes.
That, to my mind, is one of the most powerful indicators that you have from this survey, which you get only from this survey, not from other things. And that is a clear indication of politics. given that Congress is now very strongly pursuing an economic agenda, is this a time to bring in a strong economic egalitarian agenda, and would that click? I think it would, from the figures that you're seeing.
Yes, parties' interests aside, but since this is the need for the country, that more and more poor should be brought up.
That's always the need. The question politically has been, is it politically effective to bring it?
Yeah.
And I'm saying
if it
that
is not
your
politically
data,
effective, parties won't do that.
your data seems to suggest that this may be the moment, clearly in Karnataka, to make it a clear rich-poor issue, and that would click.
Yeah. But one more conclusion possibly we can draw from this is that BJP's efforts to communalize the electorate has not gone too far then. If communal mobilization has happened, then possibly even the poorer would have tended to vote for the BJP, right?
Unfortunately, we don't have too many questions on that communal issue.
Yes, we do
for
not
us
have.
to get a sense
Yes.
of how much it matters and so on. But yes, the idea that BJP has been able to bring in its fold all the poor and very poor, that doesn't seem to have happened. At least not in this election. We don't know what happens in the Lok Sabha election.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't seem to have happened.
Possibly a perverse effect of this could be something like this. Congress has an incentive to keep the poorer poor, and the BJP has an incentive to make country grow.
That's been the allegation of the BJP and many economists. But please remember, here we are talking of rich and poor in relative terms.
No.
Even in Britain today, you have poor people, poorer. And the left in the Labour Party in Britain gets more votes among the relatively poorer. So no matter if the entire spectrum goes up, you still would have poorer.
Yeah.
And
At any point in time in any society, there will be poorer people.
there are class divisions in every
and
society.
the reverse allegation can be that you are in power, and at least for your own political interest, you couldn't make poor as middle class, right?
Okay.
So now let's get into the regional forecast. So people in different parts of Karnataka probably would like to know what is happening.
Projection, estimate,
Yes,
not forecast.
yes, forecast.
Yeah,
Yes,
you are
correct.
nobody to forecast things.
Correct.
It's a broad estimate.
Projected estimate.
That's
of
right.
this survey.
And the more disaggregates you give, the more likely you are to be wrong. You know, surveys benefit from errors cancelling each other out. In one region, you could make an error in this side. On the other region, you would make errors in this side. Therefore, you would look very good. But disaggregates is where things, but the advantage you have is that you have very large sample at the region wise as well. That is one advantage of large size. So please go ahead.
Yes. So out of 40 seats in Hyderabad, Karnataka, 31 to 37 Congress, 2 to 4 BJP, and 2 to 4 JDS. And in Mumbai, Karnataka, out of 50 seats, 40 to 46 Congress, 3 to 7 BJP, 0 to 2 JDS.
So basically, you're saying in the two northern regions, it's a
Yes.
sweep for
Sweep
Congress.
Congress, yes,
This would
definitely.
surprise
This-
many people. Yeah.
Coastal Karnataka, out of 19 seats, 5 to 9 for Congress, 10 to 14 for BJP, and 0 for JDS. And Central Karnataka here is Chitradurga, Davangere, and Shimoga districts. 26 seats, so Congress 3 to 7, BJP 19 to 23, and JDS 0. So both Coastal Karnataka and Central Karnataka is still with BJP. And Southern Karnataka, which is minus Bangalore, which is Kolar to Coorg, 20 out of 61 seats, 26 to 32 is Congress, 10 to 14 BJP, and 15 to 19 JDS. So here still Congress is ahead, but JDS is ahead of BJP. And Bangalore City, out of 28 seats, 16 to 20 for Congress, 6 to 10 for BJP, and 1 to 3 for JDS.
To some extent, in the sense when we say Lingayats are still with the BJP, this is not apparently consistent with that. In North Karnataka, the BJP is losing heavily, and that is the region from where it got its sustenance all these years. Now, if Lingayats are continue to be with the BJP, then how do we explain this? Unless there is a massive consolidation of all other castes in favor of the Congress and against the BJP.
But if you just remember what you said, that Lingayats are not with the BJP, Vokaligas are not with this. We have to speak in degrees. 60% were there, now it's 50.
Yeah, we
so
will
if
not
it's
know
a,
that,
yeah, if it's a slice being, what usually happens in electoral waves is, it is not that one chunk shifts from here to there. One slice from each chunk shifts from here to there.
Okay.
That could well be happening, but it's a major thing to say the two big North Karnataka regions are almost being swept by the Congress. Even Congress people won't believe it if you ask them now. But as I said, the fun of surveys is that they throw up surprises.
The other thing about, it's not a surprise actually, but a conclusion that we can draw is BJP has made massive efforts to penetrate into Old Mysore region. And there it seems it has not succeeded much, going by the numbers.
As Dr. Vasu said, when you try and make inroads, you see, BJP is a party that thinks long term. So BJP has decided to make investment in Old Mysore region, in the Okaliga community. They would initially gain votes, but not seats. Maybe 2 elections later, they would begin to reap rewards. So this is not the election for them to convert it into seats.
And we can also draw certain conclusions about Coastal Karnataka. So Coastal Karnataka had a tendency to alternate between Congress and the BJP in every election. It is not so this time, which means possibly the communal mobilization has, worked there to...
It's too small a region for us to be able to draw such definite conclusion based on a survey. Yeah. So we'll wait. But yes, it seems that because Coastal Karnataka has been communally very, very charged till recently. So BJP appears to be holding on to that, though with less degree than...
So, but Professor Narayan, what do you think that there is still 15 days or 12 days left for...
2 weeks, more or less, two weeks, yeah.
And what are the reasons for which this survey can go wrong in the next 2 weeks?
2 things I can mention here. One is the potential impact of Prime Minister Modi coming again and again and doing his roadshow, one. Second, what people think can be some kind of surprise element that BJP can come out with towards the end, because they have a knack of changing the discourse toward the end of the campaign period. So how these 2 factors are going to play out, we cannot predict. But will Prime Minister Modi's roadshows make a difference in Karnataka is the big question to me at this point in time.
My own sense is that may be slightly an overrated factor. Please remember, in West Bengal also, Prime Minister Modi did it. I think one thing that you can say about Mr. Modi is this, that he throws everything into every single election, whether he's winning or losing, which actually from the party's point of view is a very, very good thing. You have a leader who's willing to invest fully into every election. So I expect Modi ji to invest himself fully into this. That should not be seen as an indicator of BJP's victory or loss. I don't see that as a decisive factor because that happened last time also. That's now a standard factor in Indian.
More this time when compared to any other previous election. Prime Minister coming and campaigning to this extent, I think.
We are also witnessing Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi investing themselves more fully into this election. So there's a counterbalance there. We also should mention the fact that because the survey was done before candidates were announced, if BJP has indeed selected better candidates, which they claim, would they be able to moderate some of the anti-incumbency because of that? We don't know. And all
but
the
things anti-incumbency was more for the state leadership.
That's right, yeah. So we don't know. I would be surprised if a trend as significant as this, if a 10-point lead were to vanish in 10 days, that would surprise me very much.
No matter what is the strategy.
Normally, such a large lead does not vanish into thin air in 10 days. But for the next 10 days, I can tell you, you will have some interesting time. But as a pollster, I can tell you, no one thinks that you are speaking the data. Everyone thinks you are speaking your political prejudices.
Actually, we decided time and again that we will go by the data, and we are giving this data to others also. For example, there are many details which we have not spoken today, but we are ready to share it with many media agencies. and particularly the entire data after cleaning up. So we can give it to all the research departments in universities, because there's a lot of data which is actually useful for research. There's many variables. It is not just about who wins or who loses. So we are open for that. So if any...
That's a very positive sign.
Yes.
I think public opinion research should be made in public enterprise. Unfortunately, it has become for-profit enterprise. And that has introduced so much distortion. So that I would really compliment you for. Please make it available to research institutions, to everyone, to find faults with your analysis.
Yeah,
let them critique what you've analyzed.
Learn.
We should do that.
Yes.
But please remember one golden rule of surveys, which I have learned much to my discomfort. If your forecast is bad, people will remind you for the rest of your life. The only one mistake I made in polling, when we got the winner wrong in my career, was in Karnataka 2008. People remind me even today. If you make 10 good forecasts, if your forecast is good, everyone would say, but I also thought the same. Retrospectively, everyone remembers that they had also had the same intuition, if you are right. If you are wrong, everyone would say, what an idiot. So, welcome.
But I would still say that what the survey has told us about who is going to win or who is likely to win and who is likely to lose is fine. But with regard to the numbers, there is an element of surprise left in me still.
It is. And as I said, every survey must surprise you, rightly or wrongly. Yes. The job of you do, sir. Otherwise, three of us can sitting in the studio decide what the result will be, and it's only good that three of us cannot decide it. In democracy, that people out there decide it, and there is a democratic element in survey research. The fact that survey research forces you outside your newsroom, your television studios, forces you speak to that woman who does not even know who the Prime Minister of this country is, and you go and ask her opinion. This is so deeply democratic, and that is why I would compliment you for doing this.
Most of our media coordinators who actually mobilized the volunteers, all of them felt that they learned a lot doing this survey. They learned a lot, and this is the experience of all of them. In fact, yes.
No, but what sort of a doubt that I have is when you say that survey should be democratized and it should be done publicly, and more this kind of surveys have become technical and acquired the status of science, as you put it, right? So how can these two things go together, making it public and making it more and more technical and science-like?
See, technique is not such a major problem, as Dr. Vasu's colleagues have discovered. This is something you can pick up in 5 days. Mm-hmm. The basic sampling and ask, it's basically holding an honest conversation with a person you have not prejudged. Yes. That's all it is. Okay. Technique part is very simple. It is the money part which is becoming a problem, and that's why the fact that you brought in citizen volunteers did it. This is a true service to democracy. Forget your forecast. People will forget it. If you are right, they'll not remember it. That's nice. What needs to be remembered is bringing citizens back into it, and not only at the time of election, in between too. Feeding public about public opinion, and not allowing television channel headlines to decide what is public opinion. That is true public service.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And these are the larger questions that we should pursue, but the projected estimates whether they are correct or not, of course, there's still 2 weeks' time where things can change, but we'll sit again on May 13th and discuss these things again, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time and energy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
ಮತ್ತಷ್ಟು ವಿಶೇಷ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಲು ಮತ್ತು ಹೊಸ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯಲು eedina.com ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಲ್ ಐಕಾನ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ.